Do it.
Oh, fuck. Hi there, welcome to Strengths TV. This is Danny Crouch, the listening coach, and I'm here with an awesome coach. We've got Connected Believer with Tina Vicello. How are you tonight, Tina?
Fantastic. Thanks, Danny. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for inviting me in on your unpack. And as we welcome Jackie Tribe to our tribe. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Danny. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you as well for allowing me to be a part of this incredible experience, and it is just that, an incredible experience. I just want to start, obviously we go through this motion as coaches, and you're aware of that being a coach yourself, just with the pre-frame. Are you settled in? You're nice and comfortable, ready to roll?
I certainly am, thank you.
Fantastic. Our aim is to keep this to around 60 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on where you want to take it, what stories you want to share with us, what questions you want to ask. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. So you've got a coffee, a wine, a water, whatever it is, because we will get you to do a little bit more talking than normal, if you're happy with that.
Sure, that's fine.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So basically what we're here to do today is hopefully name your strengths, which you've gone through the process of doing your activation, which allows you to identify your top 5 strengths. So did you go through much of the website when they sent you the information and read up on it?
Yeah, I did actually. I looked at all of the reports and bits and pieces that it then gave me access to.
Yeah, cool. I asked that question. I know the answer because you've got learner inside you, and you probably spent a lot more time than I did because I'm not big on learning.
Yeah, I have
But,
to. I did actually.
Yeah, awesome. Look, you've got some really fascinating strengths, and these top 5 are just simply amazing. And I say that because I mean it, and Tina will say the same thing. And the reason why it makes it so phenomenal and amazing is it's slightly different to DISC and Myers-Briggs and that sort of profiling tools, is the chances of you having the same top 5 as me or someone else in the country or the world is 1 in 280,000. So pretty rare. But even more so, the likelihood of you having the same top 5 in the same order as someone else is 1 in 33 million.
Wow.
How does that sit? How does that sit? Now, once you go through this process, and if you want to take this further with Tina or whatever, it's purely your choice. What we find is once you have the opportunity to start actually claiming your strengths and languaging your strengths in a way that people want to listen to what you've got to offer. If you walk into a room of 10 people, 1,000 people, 50,000 people, it doesn't matter what it is. Because it's 1 in 33 million chance of someone else having those top 5 strengths in that order, they need those strengths. So they're going to be attracted to you if you can language them in a way that they find them attractive. And it is rather simple once you understand your strengths, how to claim them. And then if you take it even further, you can actually learn to aim them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That gives me tingles actually. It's yeah, it's very powerful. I can see that already with the kind of gifts that I have had.
So to give you a little bit of insight, if you don't mind me sharing my top 5 with you, I'm sure that Tina shared hers with you. My top strength is maximizer, then connectedness, which I share with you at number 2, which is really awesome. Number 3 is ideation. Number 4 is activator. And number 5 is futuristic. So basically, the way I know how to language each other's strengths as an individual, I can connect with you on a massive level. And what I've learnt is that by creating these ideas and connecting people in a harmonious way, I can get things started for you and for me and for everyone in this team because I know how to empathize with them on a level that I can take to the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, beautiful.
Does it resonate with you?
Yeah, I love that.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think it is that I love it?
Yeah.
Well, I think because we both share connectedness, there's already an instant understanding of mutual benefit, not only for ourselves, but, you know, people beyond ourselves, and that once we can grasp the opportunity that we have in our hands, and recognise the power and the possibility within that. I think that's massive. And obviously our strengths are in very different areas, so that creates a natural balance and a natural harmony, and an ability to bounce off each other and to support each other. And I think that's probably the first time in my life to date that I've come across a tool that's actually been able to harness what I've intuitively known all this time, but haven't actually had a vehicle to frame it and to deliver it through. So I think it's fabulous.
My God, wow, that was beautiful. You already know how to language your top 5.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
Yeah. You heard that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'm pretty blown away. Yeah. I mean, I always knew that she was brilliant, but that was just the next level up. So
awesome.
Fantastic. Well done, Jack.
Congratulations. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go through what we call the talent code. And then if, with Tina's permission, she's going to get started with your number 1 strength. So away you go. Woo-woo.
Thank you, Danny. Brilliant. Loved that intro. So the talent code, or the Clifton's talent code, has 5 different areas. So the first one is the themes are all neutral. They're not actually labels. So although they have headings, they're not particular labels. So like we believe in coaching, the word is the meaning that you give it. So in each individual strengths or talents, we also call them talents, you basically, and depending on your combined strengths, will give you something completely different, and that's what makes it so unique. The differences are advantageous. So because your top 5 are 1 in 33 million, as Danny was mentioning, your differences will shine through. So whatever you decide to use them for will definitely be to your advantage. Behaving with positive intent, and people actually need each other. So each of us will have individual strengths. So with each other's strengths, we can build each other up. So really focusing on our strengths and creating a really beautiful team environment. So talent, we actually use, it's a natural way of thinking, the way we behave, the way we feel, and the strength is the ability to consistently provide near to perfection performance. We know that we can never be perfect because we're always striving to be better. So, but it is the ability for consistency. So that's pretty much the Clifton Talent Code. So, are you good to move forward? Have you got any questions?
No,
before we start? No? Excellent. Fantastic. All right. So, I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions maybe before we start in individualization, which is your number 1 strength. And I just wanted to ask, if I was to speak to maybe some close family and friends of yours, and I'd ask them if they could describe you in maybe not defining you within 3 simple words. Obviously, you're more than just words. But if you could give me 3 words that they would describe you as, what would they be?
Oh, wow. Okay. They often tell me that I make them feel heard. I get that a lot.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they say to me, that I see them, and that's something that they appreciate. they say I'm grounded, that I'm real, you know, that I'm not afraid of having real conversations, and in fact I love that, you know, I love the getting into the nitty gritty and the dirt, you know, that makes us all who we are. I don't shy away from that, so we've had some pretty profound conversations, you know, throughout, you know, lots of different experiences and travels in our lives, and I'm there, you know, I don't, that's, to me, it's the ugly bits that make life beautiful, you know, and so I think they, you know, they talk about my, you know, my stickability, my being there, which is really lovely, and I see.
You guys there? I've lost sound. Tina, you there? Jackie?
I am, yep.
Yep,
if you can pause, if you can hear me, just wait for me to come back on.
Yep, no worries.
Okay. Sorry, Jack, over to you.
No, all good. Yeah, so, you know, being there, seeing the parts that make them whole and beautiful human beings, and loyal. Yeah, I get that too. You know, that they know that, you know, when we're friends forever. You know, and an absolute loyalty and longevity. So yeah, I think there's probably a bit more than 3 words, but 3 themes.
Well, I did say that I'm sure there's more than just 3 words, and clearly they're all beautiful things to you know, have family and friends find in you. So, and I think a lot of your strengths definitely shine through in your explanation of how your friends and family see you. So, really beautiful, and thank you for languaging it that way. So, if I was to ask you then, if you were going on a dating site and needed to put in one of those short, you know, less than 50-word blurbs about yourself, what are the top 3 things that you would like your potential suitor to know about you?
To know about me? Wow. Okay. That I'm looking for absolute authenticity in my relationships and connections with people. I'm not a surface dweller. You know, I'm a deep sea diver when it comes to my relationships. So yeah, I really want to convey that initially. But I've got a good sense of humour. You know, life is fun and life is playful, and I think that even though we're diving deep, if we can keep it joyful and keep it playful, there are so many beautiful nuances and delicacies that can be experienced within that realm. And yeah, so that's majorly important to me. And intelligence. You know, I'm really, I have a massive appetite for intelligence and, you know, understanding and something of substance.
I like it. I think with all of those sentences and words and descriptions, I think the perfect suitor would definitely be hooking up to your profile and looking into that for sure. And I did actually pick up on a lot of your strengths coming through in that. So it's really exciting to be able to unpack you with your top 5 strengths. So We'll start then, thank you very much for that, with individualisation.
Okay.
So because you've read it, you probably know some of the language that's in this, and so I'll do what I can to bring some new information to your strengths. So as you know, we don't share any of the top 5 strengths, so this is all very new to me, so it was very exciting learning about your top 5 strengths. So thank you, Dan, for putting up that that document. Jack, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
You can? Okay, great. All right, so people who are especially talented with individualisation, they're pretty much intrigued with unique qualities within a person. So they have an absolute gift for figuring people out and can work very productively with different types of people. So can you think of a time maybe in your either relationship or career where you've been able to work in a team where there've been very much diversity, but you've been able to pick out the gift in each of those people?
Yeah, I've worked professionally with a few teams, and I've also played sport within some teams, and I think perhaps the sporting one is a good one, because often with careers and what have you, we can I think the sporting one's a good one because there's more difference. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, let's go with the sport one.
Yeah, I've been involved in some team sports for the majority of my life, and they've been collecting people from lots of varied backgrounds, varied employment, career ages. So yeah, so that's a good one. And being in a high pressure environment when it's we're out there to win, but we're also in an environment that safety is of importance. That can often, when people are under pressure, it can bring out their idiosyncrasy, which is always fascinating to watch. And yeah, I think being able to look at them and know what's going to push their buttons, what's going to light them up, what sort of tasks and jobs you have to give them to bring out the best rather than the negative to have, when they're tired and hungry and cold, the way that affects it as well. Yeah, it's funny, I haven't thought about that for a long time.
Yeah. But, so you're able to actually look at each of the individuals and try and work out what they need specifically. So not as a team, but each individual person. And you can do that quite easily because you're able to tune into their needs or their specific moods.
Yeah, and looking at them and realising how to get them performing the best in themselves so that there's not a weak link in the team, so that it's every piston is firing, so that the collective runs at its peak. Yeah, it's funny because until this conversation, I didn't actually realise that was even what I was doing.
Wow. Yeah, Eddie, that's quite yeah, that's fantastic. Sometimes it does just take really thinking about that specific strength and a specific situation or experience that you've had to be able to make that strength pop. So it's great that you've been able to just identify with that. So that's perfect. And the individualization strength itself pretty much encompasses everything that you just said. So being able to pick out the person's individual talent and their specific knowledge to bring out the best in them. And you mentioned, making sure that they're firing all cylinders, so that individually they shine, but together then they create a perfect team. So that's beautiful. Excellent.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So just another little question that I had for you. Are you one of those people who always picks the right gift for their friends and family? Yeah. Do you often get comments from family and friends saying, "Oh, that's so me"?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Yeah. I spend a lot of time though, thinking about what they want. But I think that's the secret, looking, or knowing their houses and knowing what they love and what's special to them, and then give yourself the time to. And it's often that you just come across it. I think when you go looking for it, it doesn't always appear. But when you just in flow, I guess, and you think about it ahead of time, and then it'll just appear at the right time, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful when you can, give them something and their face lights up, and that it's been really special. That also comes down to writing cards, I find. They're not even just gifts, but I always, when I write a card, just be able to hit the nail on the head with the words that, that really touch them. So, that's
absolutely. And you use the word, that's the secret. But I don't actually think it's a secret for you, because it is part of your strengths. It's part of your individualization and making sure that that person that you're purchasing a gift for or writing a specific card for feels important. And that's what you do. You want people to feel that they're one of a kind, and they definitely walk away feeling like that when they come in contact with you. So it definitely shines through, and you wouldn't be sending any Christmas cards, generic Christmas cards to people. There would definitely be a touch of Jackie in all of them. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm not into the what are those letters called? Form letters or whatever. No, it's got to be, it's got to be individual. Otherwise, it's, someone sending it really. But I love making it special, and
fantastic. No, and it definitely comes through.
And you get it back. It's definitely you receive so much in doing it as well. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, lovely.
Love it. Well, thank you. That's pretty much individualization. So I think we'll move on to one of yours and Danny's shared strengths, which is connectedness, and then we'll move on to the other three. So Dan, are you still there? Can you hear us?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. We can now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have covered individualization. So now I'd like to hand over to you and hear you shine with your connectedness, please.
Okay. I'm just correct me if I'm wrong. Did we cover the basement and balcony?
Oh, no, we didn't. We did not.
Want to just touch on that, or do you want me to touch on it? I don't mind going into it.
Okay, sure. Let me hear you say it.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Tina. Awesome. Really starting to feel like an individual and understanding how someone with individualization at number one can really connect with their friends and family and loved ones and clients and so on and so forth. So I can see how quite possibly you are a sensational coach when it comes to your individualization. Hello?
Thank you. I hope so.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up individualization, and we will combine those strengths, I want to introduce you to the theory of on the balcony or in the basement. It's quite similar to above the line, below the line, and cause and effect.
Okay.
Gallup came up with this phrasing. They've coined this phrase, which I use in my own personal coaching. It gives the layman a better understanding of what we're talking about. When you say you're at cause or you're at effect or you're below the line, people are like, huh? What are you talking about? Pure and simple, if you wake up in the morning and you're in the shits and you're not feeling good and you're just having a bad day, chances are you're in the basement and you're using your talents, your raw talents or your strengths from a place of ill will, for want of a better word. But then when you're in flow, when you're actually naturally creating your strengths at the top of your game, you're on the balcony.
Yeah.
If you like a bit of Aussie ockerism, I refer it to the penthouse or the shithouse. So a different spin on it. So I might as well connect individualization and connectedness in the balcony and the basement and sort of shine them in. Tina, I think that's you. Can you just throw yourself on mute? You can hear the pages sort of roughly.
Am I rustling? Sorry.
Yeah, just throw yourself on mute while I'm rolling this. That's cool. So from the basement with individualization and connectedness, you probably tend to focus on the individual at the expense of the group, and you may not follow generalized guidelines and take a long time to make a decision that affects people. Is that a fair assumption? Over time, you may have sort of done that?
Taking too long to make decisions at the expense of others. Yeah, that could very well be true. I tend to take my time with things. Yeah. Yeah. So I can see that as being an issue. And sorry, what was the other one?
You focus on the individual rather than the group.
Okay. At the expense of the group. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you could certainly get diverted and sidetracked with going down into too much detail, rather than sort of, for the lack of a better word, chunking up. So I could appreciate that.
So I can see how from the basement with your connectedness, you want to connect people together, but to be able to treat them as an individual tears that apart. So when you're not in flow, these can really clash.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. That's a good distinction.
Because when they're together, when you're in flow, these can be super, super powerful. So from the balcony, you're fascinated by the distinctive abilities of each person and can draw out the best in those around you.
Yes.
You can see the shining light behind someone. So when you're dealing with a client, you can see the beauty in them and the fascination in how great they can be.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. And you can link that to ideas, people or things or thoughts, and you believe almost every event has a meaning.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidence, and I do think that everything happens for a reason. And going back to the distinctive abilities of the individual, particularly if that's going against the grain of a popular idea or an idea within a group, to be able to honour them and to assist them when it's going against the grain. That's a particular instance when that actually comes to the fore. So yeah, that's what I'm running actually.
Cool. So you got a better understanding of what balcony and basement refers to?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's very cool. I'll look into that a bit more actually. So
Cool.
yeah, that's
Okay. Well,
good.
let me throw a question at you. What can you foresee as being the most important challenge you can face while trying to focus on being in the balcony for your connected individualization? And how can you identify when you're in the basement and how you can get above the line or in the balcony?
I think as we just touched on is working out a way of honouring the individual within the collective. So balancing the needs of both. That's really important because they both have different attributes that need to be recognised and worked through, and different priorities and what have you that are just as important as the other. And yeah, I think it comes down to both of them having an appreciation and understanding of why it's important that both, the role that each plays, and as we said at the very beginning of the call, that in order to get the productivity for the collective as as positive as possible, or as effective as possible, that you've got to start with the individual, and bring them up. So yeah, it's that recognising and balance and bringing both of those into balance. And of course, understanding what the objectives of the team are and the individual, and seeing where they're similar and they're different, and then overlapping to as much as possible.
Okay. Now, Tina will go into this a bit briefly in a minute. Oh, well, in more detail, I should say. Can you almost pick up how you're implementing your learner into your connectedness and individualization?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Yeah, I can. And I can, in fact, the whole way through, I've had a desire of, okay, let me listen to that a bit more. Let me find out about, that a bit more. I'll go and investigate that a bit more. Come back and, gather some more information and more clarity, So yeah, yeah, completely.
Awesome. Now, have you got a pen and paper?
I do.
Of course, most learners do. They want to learn as much as they can, so they take notes. Because I'm only really looking after one strength of yours, if Tina allows me at the end, I'd love to come back and address a couple of questions I'd like to share with you now.
Sure.
Firstly, once you've done all 5 strengths and talents with Tina, if you want to write this question down and probably answer it at the end, which of your dominant talents or strengths do you wish you could use more often?
Okay.
So once you've understood and named these 5, maybe reflect on this and we'll ask this at the end. Now, I've come up with a theory. I've come up with a bit of a theory with these top 5, and this is where you get a massive advantage by having 2 coaches coach you through your top 5. You get a different blend, that connected believer. So that's my connectedness with Tina's belief. And
okay, cool.
So what we're doing here is I'm going to give you a bit of flavour of what I see in the coaching of the top 5, and she's going to do the majority of it. But what I've identified, and I could be wrong, I could be right, I've no idea, that with most of the people that I've unpacked and I've listened to as unpacks, out of their top 5 strengths, there is one that is just dominant and they flow, and it just comes naturally and it's so easy to get into flow. On the other hand, there is one that you fluctuate so quickly on the drop of a dime between the balcony and the basement, and you can just chop and change, but if you're not careful,
Okay.
you sort of stay in the basement. And then the other 3 just combine really well and blend. So maybe have a look at that.
Okay.
It'll probably, as a learner, it'll probably come out quite naturally, and you'll see this sort of portray itself that there is one dominant strength and there is one that probably gets you into a little bit of trouble. So you can have a look at
Okay, cool.
have a look
All
at
right, thank you.
Now I'll just go through the generic theme description. So with connectedness, it's common for you to say that you are aware of the connections and timelessness of humanity. You'll combine parts into wholes. So you connect dots. How do I explain it? Yeah, the whole 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon. I don't know if you've heard that story. I believe we tend to be able to connect things 100,000 times. So, someone wearing a red pair of socks, you can connect back to a day when you were 6 years of age that wore the same coloured socks on some bizarre level. And you love noticing the circles of life and drawing together the threads of continuity. And is it fair to say you absolutely hate an us versus them mentality?
Oh, yeah, completely.
Completely.
Yeah, there's nothing more decisive and unnatural.
Were you sporty growing up, or are you still sporty?
Yeah, I was. I competed basically my entire life up until a couple of years ago, and yeah, I still am now.
Always playing team.
Yeah, well, I was yacht racing for 35 years. So yeah, that's definitely team sport. I'm playing golf now, which is obviously a bit more of an individual team, more of an individual sport, but can obviously be in teams.
Would you go out on the course by yourself?
The golf course?
Yeah.
I haven't as yet, but yeah, look, I'm certainly open to do that because of trying to increase my skills and what have you. Get out there and practice as much as I can.
But I mean, going and playing 9 holes with no one else in the group, just walking around by yourself. Could you manage that?
Oh, I could certainly do it. But for me, a lot of the enjoyment is actually there, sharing the experience and being out there with other people and enjoying the conversation as we're walking along and what have you.
Yeah.
I do spend time on my own when I need to, when I'm studying or what have you, and recharging and that sort of thing. But I'm definitely one to be surrounded, with people.
Yeah. So there's the blend there of individualisation and connectedness, I believe. So you have the ability to switch off and be by yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do it. Yeah, for sure.
And you
and they need to
the company of others.
Yeah, and I'll go between the two, as I need to, and enjoy both while I'm doing it. Then get to a point where it's like, okay, I need to go and do the other now.
Awesome.
So yeah,
awesome.
I can definitely see that.
Well, see if we can relate here to your connectedness to mine. I've got maximised connectedness, so that means I cannot be alone. I have to be around people at all times.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
On a massive, massive scale. Really, really interesting.
Okay.
So let's share.
I know a lot of people who are like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So let's share a little bit of insight and let's see how this resonates with you. So that's a generic setup. That's common for the themes with people that have connectedness. Now, what Gallup are able to do, being the largest, biggest data research company in the world, they combine all 34 strengths into this one strength, and they give us an overview. I don't know if you've read this part. This is what makes you stand out. Awesome. So the shared theme description is basically suggesting that you are especially talented in the connectedness theme, have faith in the links between all things. You believe there are a few coincidences and that almost every event has a reason, and you've already said that tonight. So what I also understand is before Gallup did a revamp, they used to actually call this spirituality or something like that. So it was all about spirituality and how you connect to the universe. And Giselle, who has communication as a top strength, also has connectedness. And she was explaining that she saw herself as being a higher self from connectedness, and it was about her connecting to everyone on the planet and having to feel like everyone was safe and always wanting to nurture and look after them. Does that resonate in any form?
Oh, and Tina was no doubt in the background chuckling quietly to herself because we've had lots and lots of conversations about, you know, awareness and energy and vibration and what have you. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know necessarily, I think the distinction between myself and that lady you were referring to is I'm not necessarily about safety as much as encouraging people to be their best version of themselves for themselves. That you know, that'll get me going. Not being disappointed in them, being disappointed for them. You know, if they're letting themselves down, if they're behaving in a way that's not fulfilling their own potential and their own beauty. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a passion of mine. So it might be a bit of a kick up the bum rather than a come here and let me give you a cuddle. But it's a loving kick up the bum.
Awesome. Awesome. So you're connecting them to their individualization.
Yeah, absolutely. Connecting them to themselves. Because we have to, our greatest relationship is with ourselves. And it's only once, you know, we know who we are and we you know that's a robust relationship. Can we then go and have positive, robust relationships with others? You know, so it's just, it makes absolute sense to me that we've got to start, you know, internally. Yeah, and I think that if everyone on this planet spent a bit more time nurturing the relationship they have with themselves, then we'd live in an exceptionally different, you know, world than what we do.
Beautiful. Now, with your connectedness, can you connect here how you can use these 5 words or 5 themes to tell a story about yourself? So just simply, if a tagline for you could be something along the lines of, you help people learn how to connect to themselves.
Cool. Love that.
That's your top 3 strengths.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. That is very, very cool. And this is what I love about this entire exercise, is that it's actually languaging themes and ideas and concepts that have been floating around my head, you know, for a long time, and that I've been shaping, but have not been able to actually grasp them in language previously. So yeah, that's absolutely fabulous. I'll just write that down.
Don't worry, I'm full of ideas. That's number 3 for me.
Fantastic.
Now, can you share with us an example, and I'm going to put Tina on the spot here. Can you share an example when you've taught her how to connect with herself?
How I've taught Tina how to connect with herself? Wow, I taught Tina how to connect with herself. The thing that springs to mind is not necessarily connecting with herself as much as connecting to business ideas together that she's equally passionate about.
Awesome.
And to me, it was just obvious that that made a perfect marriage. And I pointed that out to her, and it was a beautiful aha moment for her, and she was like, yeah, of course, of course. So that was fabulous. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. It's being able to say that piece and that piece, they go together, Yeah, so that's probably the example that springs to my mind initially.
Mm. And are you religious? It's completely off topic. Are you religious in any form?
No, I'm not religious. I'm definitely spiritual. I think religion is a man-made construct, and I think what I believe in is bigger than that.
A higher self.
Yeah, well, in a higher sort of energy. It's unfortunately religion is responsible for a lot of the disharmony in this world. And let's face it, there's been lots of wars and what have you that's been started in the name of religion, and a bit of a travesty.
Beautifully worded. We're learning how harmony and empathy are coming into your language now. It's fascinating. I love it. Which obviously connects us to the next theme, or strength, learner. So when Tina wants to take herself off mute, she's welcome to come back in, and we'll learn from the two of you and how she languages that strength with you. Take it away, Tina.
Thanks, Dan. Awesome. I love that interaction that you both had with connectedness. That was really, really awesome. And thank you for picking a really good example and making me sound not so unintelligent there. Thank you so much.
Am I right in saying that you liked how we connected?
I very much enjoyed how you connected. Thank you. So I learned quite a lot through that, and this is what it's all about. So for me, segueing into learner is quite, I can't think of the word, quite right, for lack of a better word. So the theme description for learner is a person who is especially talented in learning themes, have a great desire to learn and want to continuously improve. So in particular, the process of learning rather than the outcome or the results that they receive, the actual process of learning is what excites you.
Yeah, totally. I have to admit I haven't finished a great deal of certificates and that sort of thing, because it's not about a piece of paper. And when I've learnt what I think it is that I started it to experience, then I've done it, and I've gotten I've sort of squeezed it for what it was worth, and then I'm on to funnily enough the next thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and also I find I'm studying at the moment, and I find that something that I'm doing is I'm not surprisingly connecting the dots between different areas of study and different research that's being done, and different people that are out there excelling in their fields, and I'm drawing, connecting the dots between all of them and sort of pulling that together, and that's just so super exciting. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. No, it's great, and basically that's exactly what makes you stand out. It's you not really looking at the end result, but you tend to find that you learn or want to study things that are not so basic, something that's a little bit more difficult to understand, or something that has quite a few layers or complexities to it. And you're happy to then just go through with, the mental endurance and the agility and of working it all out. And once you've done that, then you're good to go on to the next project. So generally, do you find that you do have smaller tasks or smaller little projects to complete and then move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I tend to go down rabbit holes. I'll go along and I'll hit something that's fascinating, and understandably now, I now realise that it's generally about connectedness or individualisation. I now appreciate that. My coaching is a perfect example of that. What makes people tick, and then the different influences or lines of study or what have you that then is layer upon layer upon layer. So yeah, for me it's very much I'll go along until I find one of those points, and then I'll drill down into that and garner as much as I can out of it, and then I'll be up and on to the next one. But now, because I've been doing it for long enough, I'm actually able to sort of look at all these little drill holes and the dirt that I've pulled out from each of them, and I'm now sort of building something out of all of those seemingly unrelated topics, which are now coming together, and that's super cool, very exciting. So they can at the time not seem related, but now with a bit more perspective and time, they're absolutely related and working together. So they're very cool.
Fantastic. Do you also find that sometimes you can go into overdrive and focus on one thing and do that, and then you've learnt what you need to for that, and then you go away and then you come back to that maybe in 6 months or 12 months time and then pick that up again and then learn some more about it and then go away and then come back and do that?
Yeah, I guess I can revisit, and I think sometimes with what I've looked at in the meantime can then make more sense of things. Again, because of that perspective and the time to come back with a bit more information, and then you can see a bit more of it that you perhaps couldn't have previously. But again, because it's all interconnected, it's almost like painting. You paint the different layers, but it's layer upon layer upon layer, and so it's a natural synergy that it makes sense that you paint the background bit first, and then you come back later on and you build on a different layer to it, and then you stand back and it all makes sense. Whereas at the time, when you're focusing in, you sort of drilled in and just looking at a little bit, you can only see that little, square inch. Whereas, time and distance can give it, the perspective that, might have been missing initially, when you were really paying close attention to it. Yeah. So it's it's what the description said about it being a lifelong thing. That's so true.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think as we age and we become, we benefit from the life experience and interactions and the relationships and that we've had, that it adds more meaning as it goes on. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with this particular strength, you might find that you can really concentrate for hours, at a time, especially when you get that deeper understanding of the actual topic or whatever it is, the idea that you're looking at, just so you can get that information and then go away and have some time to yourself. But you can really give that time, that concentration time, when it interests you. Do you find that that's the case?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if I'm fascinated by something, then, you know, if I'm awake, you know, there's something I'm doing that's relating to it, or and it often surprises me as to how long I can do that for. You know, like, you know, months or years of sort of just like a little squirrel, you know, just, you know, hiding the nuts away, you know, just you know, collecting the little bits of, you know, deliciousness to feast on for, you know, for a long time. So yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. And do you find that you want to learn something until you're almost at mastery level within that?
No, it's not about that. It's about understanding, about having a thorough understanding. There's got to be a purpose to it, you know, and collect knowledge so that there's a value of, look, I don't just study for studying.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a particular, you know, inherent value in what I'm doing, and I think when that runs out, that's when I'll turn my attention on something else. So it's not a matter of just
when the value runs out.
Yeah, when the value runs out, then that's
mm-hmm.
when my interest will wane.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'll, for example, with my sport, I will learn the skills to be the best that I can be while I'm enjoying it and while I'm in love with it. And while I think it's still enhancing my life and it's something that I can, you know, enjoy and share with others. Whereas to be out there just bashing balls for the sake of being the master on my own, you know, just for the sake of being the best. No,
mm-hmm.
you know.
That's not you. Mm.
No. I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the, you know, creating the art, being a crafts, you know, crafting it. But if the passion's not there anymore, then I'll stop.
So again, it goes back to the actual process of the learning rather than the end goal. So as long as you're still learning and you're having fun, then it still holds value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what?
I'll be out of there.
Yeah, yeah. It needs to still be exciting for you. Otherwise, then you will definitely move on.
Yeah.
Do you find that working in a dynamic working environment suits you best?
Yeah, I do. It's funny, and this is probably been one of the biggest realizations that I've had from this experience. We can become good at things because there's been a need for us to do so, versus now understanding that there are things that we're inherently gifted or good at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really lovely distinction for me, because there are things in my life, for example, I currently work from home on my own, have done for, you know, well, a large chunk of probably about a decade of time overall. And that's been something that I've needed to do because I've needed to do it. You know, the circumstances have meant that that's the way it's been. Versus being in an environment where I'm surrounded by people and there's lots going on and there's lots of variety and you know, differences and stimulation, what have you. That would definitely be my preference, but it's not what I've been doing through necessity, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
it does.
yes, I would much prefer that. And I'm actually looking forward, you know, getting back into an environment like that. And yeah, this experience has highlighted the fact, you know, that is actually really important to me, and it's been something that I haven't actually been nourishing in myself, and I'm really excited about.
And what other strengths? Sorry. What other strength do you think comes into that? Now knowing so far your top 3.
Well, I think all of them actually, but connectedness. Absolutely. Definitely, but I think they all do. The individualisation, you know, being able to be around people and being part of that team and being able to interact with the individuals within a team environment. Yeah, definitely. And physically being connected with the team, you know, on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of your strengths, thriving in a team environment. So, yeah, love it. So let's go across to the grid and the basement balcony. So with Learner, if you're in the basement, you may be more focused on learning than producing anything with what has been learnt. Do you find that I think we already covered this before, and that's probably quite true. Do you tend to ask a lot of questions as well? There also says asking a lot of questions. Is that something that you generally do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that for the purpose of learning more?
Yeah, totally. It's it's a fascination with, you know, why things are the way they are and how they got to be that way. And it can, that balcony basement thing is a perfect example, you know, because I can see how it's and maybe this is what Danny was talking about being able to flip between the two. They're both, you know, you could easily go through and get completely and utterly sidetracked and delve down deep and get too narrow and too deep. But if you don't do that, and if you just skim across the top and keep a really broad view, then, you know, you're not getting the detail as well. So it's a matter of balancing the two.
Absolutely.
Yes, but it's the whole, you know, analysis of paralysis concept. You know, we can be fascinated with the workings and the whys, but if you don't actually, you know, put it into action and make something come of it, then that's the point. So,
too true. Yeah. And this is just a curiosity question. With the asking a lot of questions being in the basement, potentially I would imagine a lot of learners, because they do that, going back maybe into primary school even, they were always the kid that had their hand up all the time, and, you know, I was the kid that was rolling my eyes going, oh, do you have to ask so many questions? But knowing that now that's how they learn, I just thought they were being annoying, because I just didn't want to be at school. So, but having that maybe quashed as a child growing up could potentially maybe keep someone in the basement and not asking the questions and feeling quite frustrated because they're not actually having their learner satisfied. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can work both ways. And there's so much that comes into it, funnily enough. But if you had, it could also be a certainty tip, why, because the more information we can garner, the more certainty we can have and safer we can feel, So there's so many different things at play. And that natural curiosity, if that is stopped on, then, yeah, that's absolutely stunted and even fall into a pattern of thinking, well, curiosity again isn't safe, because I get stopped on far too many. So, yeah, I can definitely see it from both perspectives. But again, it comes back down to intention. Are you asking the questions to be a pain in the ass, or are you asking the questions because you're actually genuinely interested, because it,
True.
Pisses off little Johnny next to you, So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So taking it then into the balcony, having your learner wanting to continuously improve. So the process is learning, and rather than the outcome, it's just all about the actual learning. So that pretty much rings true with you, going by what we were talking about earlier. So I think that's pretty much where you're at, and I think you use your learner in the balcony quite well, and I've been able to see that in in real life. So definitely.
And it does. It all comes back to understanding ourselves, and where we fit in the world, and the best way to interact and to stake that claim. That's why I'm so excited about this tool, because it finally gives a bit of, like I said at the very beginning, a bit of a framework, and it makes sense. So yeah, very cool.
Fantastic. And you mentioned just at the end of that, with the world, and I think that's quite obvious with your harmony as our next theme. You very much are about influencing friends and family and anyone basically who comes into your experience, and making sure that everyone is in harmony and has consensus. So I really like this theme and this talent and strength. Can you tell me a little bit about what harmony actually means to you?
I guess for me it comes back to being heard. When someone feels as though they're seen and they're heard, it quietens the spirit, because they don't need to be, look at me, listen to me, listen to me, It's that, okay, somebody gets me, I can, wow, cool, and I am valued and I am worthy. And I think it's when people feel those things that they're more harmonious within themselves, and therefore they're naturally then more harmonious with those around them. And it stops a bit of the competition and the one-upping and the I'm better than you and dog eat dog and all that stuff that we see so much. And truly being able to live side by side and to respect each other's differences and opinions, and being able to stand with people from two different religions and say, well, you know what, you might be right, but I might be right. The reality is that neither of us really knows. So while there's a space of not knowing, if we can give each other a bit of room to breathe and acknowledgement that we're both just trying to live the best way that we see, is possible, that creates harmony within itself. And it's a quiet thing. I think often, there are a lot of people that when there's a lot of noise around, you can not hear it. So, yeah, it's being heard.
That's pretty much a wrap then. I think you've got that all under control. I don't think I have very much more to say. You languaged that so perfectly. In fact, it was beautiful. It was just very harmonious. I felt you were very much in flow. And absolutely, I think one of the things that is actually guiding you, one of your guiding values, is actually harmony, and I think that really plays in all of your strengths so far that we've covered. And you also touched in some of your empathy. So we haven't gone into detail about that, but it definitely came through in your explanation on what harmony means to you. So I find, obviously, you brought in religion, and obviously there's going to be people who have conflict about what's better and whose is more right. And so one of the things that people who have harmony as a strength tend to avoid confrontation. They don't tend to expose themselves or impose themselves on other people's views. And when they are confronted with that, generally they try and find a common ground or common goal that they all might have to bring back harmony. So is that something that maybe you've experienced?
Yeah, I don't enjoy confrontation at all. For me, if there are two people that are in a disagreement, it comes back to being able to appreciate, the viewpoint, each other's viewpoint, and to find the common ground. If you can, sometimes, quite often, they're actually arguing the same point but from a different angle, or they do actually have the same common goal or the same motivation or the same, there'll be a commonality somewhere. So if you can find that and then and show that, to each other, then you can obviously, sometimes bring them back into understanding that they're actually not as different as they think they are.
Sorry, Jack, I think the line's just gone really, really bad. I couldn't hear very much of that last bit.
Okay. Have you got me now? Hello. You still there?
Hello?
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, there you are. Yep. Okay, good. Sorry. Trying to find some commonality between each of the parties was the last bit that I caught. So how do you find that you do? How do you find that commonality? What do you call upon to find that commonality, do you think?
I guess, you know, it comes down to, and I guess this is where, you know, my other strengths come into play, of listening to people and really going down deep into getting to know who they are, and, you know, diving down into, you know, their backgrounds and their history and their beliefs and, you know, what makes them tick. And I guess with individualisation, it's about finding the differences, you know, and the things that make them unique. Whereas with empathy, it's more about finding similarities, you know, and finding where they can connect and where they're you know, they're the same and where they're aligned.
Beautiful. That's perfectly said. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's fantastic. So it's almost like you look at each individual person first and find the great thing within them, and then you connect on each individual person what common ground they all share. So it sounds like, for me, because it's definitely not one of my strengths, a very long process, but it seems to happen very quickly and instinctively for you. Does it feel like a process for you, or does it come naturally?
It depends on the people, you know, because they're all different, funnily enough, you know. So I think I'm naturally good at reading energy and emotion, and I can, you know, I can read people and you know, sort of figure them out broadly, you know, pretty quickly, and then you then need to spend more time with them to go into detail and you know, to find the uniqueness, you know. So it's a bit of both. You can broad brush strokes as a bit of an idea, and then more refined, intimate exploration to, you know, to really find the true gold of this. You know, it's a bit like knowing there's gold in them their hills, but you know, until you actually get on your hands and knees and start digging through the dirt, you know, it's not. That's how you find the, you know, the specs. So yeah, that needs focus.
Yeah, I like it. Beautiful. The last little bit on one of the what makes you stand out, the details around that says that in your view, we're all basically in the same boat. So we need this boat so we can get to where we're going. And it's definitely a good boat, so there's no need to rock it. So just to prove that it can rock. So we can all just live comfortably and get to where we're going if we all just sit and row together. So it's quite a beautiful, soothing strength that you have there. And looking at the grid with the basement and the balcony, in the basement you may avoid confrontation and hide feelings in the fear of disagreement. Do you find that could potentially be the case with harmony being in the basement?
Oh, completely. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I prefer to, well, there you go, keep the peace.
Yeah. Which is exactly in the balcony, yeah.
Yeah, then to rock the boat, yeah, so there you go. Yeah, yeah, totally. But yeah, it doesn't, it goes against my grain. And I'd rather, you know, go with the flow and let people you know, have a victory if that's what's important for the sake of the greater good, you know. But it's not, you know, I fully appreciate that that's not always a positive. So, yeah, I guess finding a way to articulate what it is that needs to be said in a harmonious way would be the antidote to you know, just completely looked over or what have you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. You mentioned before that you can understand or feel what people are feeling, and that pretty much moves us into empathy. So you are one of those people, when you say you should put yourself in those people's shoes, you actually do put yourself in their shoes and feel what they feel before you even consider anything. Would that be an accurate assumption?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I deal with animals too, actually, you know, which is bizarre, but can, you know, often get a massive rush of emotion that I can distinct as not being mine, you know, and then I can realise that it's, you know, that it is actually somebody else's that I'm experiencing, which was a bit confusing, you know, in the beginning, but massively powerful and yeah, hugely beneficial. But it can, you know, I need to be careful with that because it can be exceptionally draining and what have you as well. So it's been something that I need to be mindful of and take care of. But yes, I definitely do have that ability.
Yeah, that's a really powerful, I find one of the most powerful strengths that someone can hold, because being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, or, you know, see basically their emotions, their feelings through their eyes and through their emotions, is a really powerful thing to be able to do. And not to say that any of the other strengths are not powerful, because in their own right they are, but having harmony and connectedness together is wow. And mind you, you've got 4 of your top 5 strengths in relationship builder, which is, I don't think we've got anybody else in the grid with 4 relationship building strengths. So to have those 4 together, beautiful, just beautiful. And you can hear from the way that you describe, you know, your connection with people and the world. Intuitively, it's just who you are. So yeah, I really, really love this one, actually. Do you find that, I'm going to go straight to the grid. Do you find that you find it possibly difficult to separate the emotion from the situation?
See, that's something that I really want to go, and now that I know about their strengths, it's something I really want to explore, because with the life that I've lived up till now, having to separate the emotion out of the situation has been something that I've learned. It's been a skill that I've
Sorry, I'm giggling because that happens to be your only one outside of relationships. So you had to learn it, and lucky it was one of your top 5 strengths, so you're able to do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, now that I know this, being able to get more in touch with what is just sitting there for me naturally. That's super exciting for me. So, and I think the answer will probably be yes, in that I think I'll actually embrace that a bit more and not remove the emotion out as much as I can, because I think up to now I've purposely taken it out more than perhaps I should have in response to the environment. And looking back, I think that's not always been positive. So knowing what I know now, I'm really quite excited about, sort of being more mindful of this, because I think the outcomes can be very different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Fantastic.
In fact, I know they will be. Yeah.
In fact, sorry?
In fact, I know they will be. And that's massively exciting.
It is.
I'll watch this space and come back to you.
I'll be watching very intently, don't you worry.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, some of the other things that make you stand out with your empathy is that you can actually convince people of their value. So they might be quite down on themselves, and you can come along, and because of your connectedness and because of your harmony, can have a conversation with a complete stranger, and they will walk away feeling on top of the world. You have the ability to do that. Can you resonate with that? Does that fit, or do you have a story that maybe could support that?
I love that. I think that's, to know that I can naturally do that is, that's just, that's wonderful. I know I can definitely talk to just about anyone anywhere, always have been able to. Doesn't matter in what circumstance. Yeah, I often have people come, they end up telling me their life stories, that's for sure, regardless of the circumstances that we meet in, and it's amazing the conversations you can have in the most bizarre of circumstances. You end up talking about, all sorts of things in, seemingly sort of sterile environments, and I love that. There's nothing better than having a really great conversation with someone. And yeah, being able to recognise them and know that I've been able to add that value and add that experience to them, that's just such an honour. And I'll, before I used to think that, yep, it was something I was good at, and yep, it was something I could do. But I think it almost adds a bit of responsibility to it now. Of saying, well, hang on a minute, you've got an ability that not a lot of people do, or a combination of abilities that not a lot of people do. You've got to use that better. You've got to start.
Well, I don't think you need to use it better. I just think you need to now, because you know it, you can't unknow it. So it's now actually focusing on the strengths that you do have,
absolutely.
And it's your natural ability to use them. So and you have 1 in 33 million of the top 5 strengths. So
everybody does,
Yeah,
to what
that's
it
right.
is.
Exactly.
You know, how
Yep.
fascinating, how amazing, what an awesome opportunity we've all got to understand that about each other, you know, and
Absolutely.
imagine what we can create with that, you know, and also, you know, for such a long time we've been focusing on improving what we're not good at, you know. With your performance review, you really need to lift your game in those areas. These are, you know, and you know, as we know, what we focus on, we get more of, and
Absolutely.
if you know, unless you use it, you're going to lose it. So to now sort of turn the gaze and say, well, hang on a minute, you know, this is what you're good at. Let's make you absolutely shine at these things. You know, you'll be
revolutionary.
more excited. You'll absolutely, you know, you'll be passionate about it naturally. It could, you know, it's so powerful. Yeah, it's very,
absolutely.
Very, but that's what I mean about
is.
the responsibility. You know, it's a now that we, as you say, now that we've learned it, we can't unlearn it. Yeah, awesome.
It is, it is absolutely such a powerful tool. Once you know it, you just want to keep knowing more. So, and this is exactly what, you know, the Strength Finder tool, Clifton's Strength Finder tool is all about. It's about focusing on your strengths, and once you're able to language it, and the more you speak and actually hear the words that you use in just standard conversation, you pick up on your top 5 strengths on an ongoing, you know, in an ongoing conversation. So it's quite interesting once you do know it, how you language it so much more confidently and clearly, so that people really see you shining in these areas, and then it becomes even more exciting. So like you said, it's something that needs to be brought out more into the world, and it is just the beginning. And Nick and Dan, you know, are on the brink of bringing this out to Australia, and it's very exciting to be part of it. So yeah, well, going to the grid with the balcony, once you have empathy in the balcony, it says that I can sense other people's feelings. I can imagine myself in other people's lives or particular situations. And you said that you could definitely do those things, and maybe you were suppressing it a little at the beginning, but now knowing it, you'll probably embrace it a little bit more, and use it to bring out your strengths of harmony, connectedness, and empathy even more. How does that sit with you?
Absolutely. So I'm excited about that. You know.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Fantastic. Well, I think we're done, Jack. Just a couple of questions to tie it all up now. So, what if you could, you know, say one thing that the biggest insight that you've had through this session? What would that be?
Oh, I think probably the interplay between harmony and connectedness, and you know, I love the balcony basement analogy, you know, because they can be, you know, either or, and you know, and a matter of appropriately moving between the two. You know, that's really, really important, because when I initially read through the reports, I hadn't actually considered basement, you know. So being mindful of that, I think, is you know, very, very, very clear now, and an important takeaway for me for sure.
Beautiful. So in answering that, then, having the understanding of having them all connected, if I was to say I would take away one of your themes or one of your strengths, which one would you, most likely reluctantly, which one would you give away?
Oh, take it away from me not to have anymore.
Yeah, can't have it. Which one? Which one would you give up? I know, when you just learn about them, you're like, I don't want to give up any of them. I love them all. I want them all. But I'm going to take one away. Which one are you going to give me? Because I don't have any of them, so just pick one.
Wow. Okay. Oh God, wow.
Well, give away one of your relationship building ones. You got 4 of them. Don't be greedy.
Oh.
You know what? When I got asked this question, I struggled as well, because I'm like, oh, but I want them all. I like them all. So let's say I'm going to take away empathy.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, don't be so sad. I tell you why I'm asking you this question. I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. So using your other 4 strengths, if I was to take away empathy, what could you call on to almost get that same strength? What could you call on instead?
Probably connectedness, because what we do to ourselves, we do to each other, and understanding that we're all connected gives an inherent empathy. Because if you understand yourself, you can understand somebody on the outside of the world, regardless of circumstance or creed or race or religion or what have you. So possibly connectedness. But I don't look back.
Nice. Well, and the reason why I said let's take one away, and I was only pretending because obviously you're going to have it all, is because we collectively have 34 strengths. So there's 34 strengths that we all own, or we have, and our top 5 are the ones that are appearing at the moment, and we don't ever say that it's our a weaker strength. It's a lesser strength, but it's always there. So if we didn't use any of those ones so often, we would then call on our top 5 strengths. So they're always there. So we can call on our strengths that we don't use as often through these top 5 strengths. They will always build up the ones that we call our lesser strengths. So that's the reason why I said I'd take one away, but you can have empathy back. It's all yours, and you do it really well. So please own them. They're all yours. And our naming session is coming to a close. So how are you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. Yeah, I'm super pumped about this, actually, because it's I think I've said 10,000 times now. It's given me such a better understanding about myself. That even though I've got e-disc and 6-core needs and all my other coaching bits and pieces and things I've learnt over the years, and there was still a bit of the puzzle that was missing, and for me it was drawing these things together, which I knew innately but hadn't been able to connect and explain up. Yeah, so
well said.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Love it.
I hope to communicate what I was intending to for you.
Oh, you did. It was beautifully done. Thank you so much, Jack. I really want to acknowledge you for being so open and trusting of this process. And it was just such a wonderful experience for me as the coach unpacking my first unpack. So thank you so much for this brilliant experience. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and learning about you and your strengths. So thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you. It's been great.
My pleasure. Well, Dan, did you want to just close off the last bit?
Love to.
Fantastic, thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations, Tina. That was brilliant. You did really well. You should be really proud of yourself. You smashed all 4 strengths and you combined them and connected them all together beautifully. Yeah, so well done. And again, of course, Jackie, thank you to you. Fantastic. The strengths they stand out and they're sensational. And I'm guessing for your first experience, that may come across as if Tina and I are blowing it out of proportion a little bit. But it's not sales speak. It's not us trying to woo you. It is true. Once you learn to language and understand and identify the strengths in people, because there's a chance, a likelihood of 1 in 33 million that we're going to find someone like you, we've never seen this combination before. And the chances are we never will. So it is truly unique and truly amazing.
Yeah, sensational. Thank you very much.
Now, I do have a favour to ask of you, and this is sort of a pro bono setup, as we know. Have you got your pen there? Can I just get you to write down a few things?
Yeah, sure.
There are 5 words. Use these words, whether they're the same words or whether you want to reword them in a different format that means roughly the same thing. The first one's relate. Second one is win others over or woo.
Okay.
Third one is belief.
Yeah.
Fourth one is positive. Fifth one is activate or start. Do you know what they are?
I think they're strengths. Are they Tina's strengths?
Very good.
Yay, yay.
Way to connect the individual strengths.
What's that?
Nice work, Jack.
Way to connect the individual strengths.
Yeah, well, but it's amazing how it does show, doesn't it? You know, incredible.
What we'd love you to do with that in that CYC mastermind group that you're a part of, if you could come up with, if you're good enough to come up with 1 sentence, most people need sort of 2 or 3, but you're a learner, so you'll probably do it in 1. And I'll see if I can do it right now. If you can thank Tina in her own special way by using those 5 words, something along the lines of how you really related to how Tina has the ability to woo you into believing that your strengths are so positive and can get you started where you want to go.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Something along those lines, and she can use it as a testimonial for a website or a blog or whatever it is she wants to use it for. But
okay, lovely.
Yeah, and it's also sharing with the rest of the group how much you appreciated what Tina did for you. So that's really sensational.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd be delighted to do that.
And because you're a learner, I'm going to put you to the test. I'm doing this as a maximizer. I look for excellence in others. So if you're good enough, see if you can include 10 words and use individual, connections, learn, harmony, and empathy, and put all 10 of them in together.
Mine. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Accept the challenge?
No problem at all. All right, well, what are yours? Come on, bring it on.
Well, I'll see if you can work it out. I'll give you an example.
Maximize my connectedness.
Okay, well, I'll maximise.
Yes.
See if you can relate in a massive way how individually we can connect together by wooing together all of the ideas that allow us to believe that we can learn from each other in a positive way so we can start harmonising and empathising with each other so we can go into the future together. There you go. There's all 15 of them.
Oh, that was fantastic.
All right. Okay. Cool.
So that's maximise connectedness, Jackie.
Okay, that's fabulous. I love that.
I'm sure.
All right. I'll go and study it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I know you will. Now,
all right, sensational.
Just to finish off, as a friend of Tina's, as I don't know if you overheard what we were talking about in the beginning, we're looking at attracting some very, very large clients, and we're looking at some massive numbers of unpacks. So we need more coaches to be able to do this.
Right, yeah.
We'll be continuing running training programs. Now, because you're a friend of Tina's, we look at helping each other as friends. If you're interested in doing it, we run on the Gold Coast, and what I did for Tina and the rest of the group initially was just simply ask if you can pay for the accommodation. We'll cover the cost of the training. We'll do it a little bit better package than last time because we sort of sporadically put meals and stuff in. But under the pretense that if you can find someone else that might be interested in coming, so you take up a room, you can be involved in it. And if you want to come on board and start unpacking people as well, you've got the strengths to be able to do this, and they stand out. And I can see why you're an excellent TCI coach. It's whether or not you wanted to do this. So I don't need an answer now. PM me at some time if you want to think about it.
Okay, fabulous. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to hang around for a minute, Tina, and we'll just let Jackie go? Yeah? All right, thanks, Jackie. Once again, it was sensational. Thanks for being open and honest with us and giving 100% as you do as a coach and as a client in this instance, so thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you both very much for the opportunity. And Tina, you would never have known that it was your first one. Beautiful job, Stella.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank
We'll chat soon.
Take care. See you.
See ya.
Bye.
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 All right, cool.